One here off the Gulf, and then another one just off the coast of North Carolina. Both of those forming as we speak, and they'll kind of come together and work in tandem to create our first winter event. So we have the low just off the coast. That provides the moisture. Then a secondary low that'll be a little further inland. That will provide actually a layer of warm air in the upper atmosphere. So things will fall as frozen precipitation, but melt just above our heads, and then likely end up as freezing rain tomorrow morning for us here as it hits the surface. So let's take you through in time on Futurecast. Really that 4 a.m. until about noon time frame is what we're watching closely for a period of freezing rain, and some of that could lead to some icy accumulations, an icy glaze across most of the Triad, really just a cold rain south of Asheboro. But further to the northwest that you go, a tenth to even 2/10 of an inch of ice are likely tomorrow morning. Not expecting widespread issues or travel issues or anything like that, but there could be an icy glaze in most Triad areas. It could impact travel as far as bridges and overpasses go. They could be slick in the morning, and there could also even be a few spotty power outages across the area. Of course, that's all things that we'll be keeping you updated on, and I'll have more. We'll talk details, and we'll talk a little bit more timing and your 7-day forecast coming up in a few minutes.
Meteorologist Christian Morgan, thank you so much. Several Triad school districts are making plans to learn remotely tomorrow, including Guilford County Schools, because of the weather forecast. As we learn more about districts' plans, we'll be sure to update you on our website, WFMYnews2.com.
While our COVID-19 cases remain high again today, we have not set a record high, but keep this in mind is that hospitalizations have now broken another record with 2,735 people hospitalized due to COVID-19. And while vaccinations have begun for healthcare workers, Governor Cooper held a COVID briefing today, urging North Carolinians to continue to remain cautious.
Seeing vaccinations underway gives us hope at the end of a hard year. But this virus continues to be extremely contagious and deadly. We need to persevere and keep using our tried and true safety precautions. Follow the modified stay-at-home order. Care for your neighbors and loved ones by wearing a mask. Keep distance between you and others. The more careful we are now, the more lives we will save.
The day after getting the first doses of the COVID-19 vaccine, Wake Forest Baptist Health vaccinated their first employees. The hospital got nearly 3,000 doses yesterday. Employees at Cone Health and Novant Health hospitals are expected to get their vaccines later this week as more doses arrive to hospitals. After that, they will be sent to nursing homes and long-term care facilities.
So we know that frontline workers are part of the first groups of vaccinations in the U.S., but for most of us, we shouldn't expect this for maybe even as long as a few months. But it's not all bad news, though. As we connect the dots, we find out that we could get the vaccine a little sooner than we thought.
The answer to how soon the average adult will get the coronavirus vaccines depends right now on who you ask. Department of Health and Human Services Secretary Alex Azar says in late February and early March, it will be as easy as getting the flu shot, with stores like Walmart and Walgreens giving out the vaccine to the general public. That is, of course, after high-risk individuals like healthcare workers and the elderly get their vaccines. That is a slightly different timeline than the one from the director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Disease, Dr. Anthony Fauci. He reports that by the end of March and the beginning of April, that normal, healthy men and women will have access to the vaccine. Dr. Fauci says that would mean we would be approaching herd immunity by next fall. So what does having herd immunity mean? Well, that is when we can start easing off some of our public safety measures like face masks. But the experts do estimate close to 70% of Americans will have to be vaccinated to reach that herd immunity.
Let's check in with more headlines today with your 4 to 5 roundup. The FDA issued an encouraging document about Moderna's COVID-19 vaccine, saying there were no specific safety concerns identified. This before the agency meets to decide whether to give the vaccine emergency approval like it did for Pfizer's shot. The FDA also confirmed that Moderna's vaccine is more than 94% effective. On Thursday, a panel of experts will meet, and a final decision from the FDA is expected soon after. If Moderna's shot is given the green light, shipments could start rolling out next week. Well, it is a give and take on Capitol Hill, where lawmakers are trying to agree on a COVID-19 bill before the holidays. A bipartisan group unveiled a new $908 billion package. It adds more unemployment money and extends eviction moratoriums that are set to expire soon. The deal, however, does not include stimulus checks. Federal and state law enforcement agencies say they are cracking down on schemes that are becoming common during the pandemic. The scams range from work-from-home offers to pyramid schemes to fraudulent investment opportunities. Regulators are now launching Operation Income Illusion. It's a year-long effort to target scammers. Consumers lost an estimated $1 billion in schemes since the start of the year. Your 4 to 5 continues on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Join our conversation there.
All right, don't miss this next story.
I'm excited to have a black Santa that looks like me.
Adorable, right? Well, you've heard me say it before, time and time again, that representation matters. So I wanted to let you know about this event happening in Greensboro this weekend. Santa Claus is coming to town at the historic Magnolia House to meet and take pictures with families. This is in Greensboro. The event is in collaboration with the NAACP and other community partners. Brittany Hunt says she's excited to take her 6-year-old daughter, Harlem.
Not only has this been a very, very hard year for us as adults, for us as parents, and even for teachers, and just really the entire community, this has been a rough time for children. And it brings me no greater joy than to sprinkle some joy on this holiday season for her in a way that we may not have done in past years.
The Magnolia House was a former Green Book motel that housed many African-American writers, musicians, and athletes during the Jim Crow era. The NAACP would also meet there. So Hunt says being able to bring a black Santa is almost like a full circle moment.
This is a special moment in time, and this moment right here in the city of Greensboro that also has history in its roots as it relates to injustice and furthering efforts and making strides towards justice. We're falling right in line with that time.
All right, a couple things to keep in mind here. Families will have to make a reservation. There are 150 slots available, and you will have your temperature checked at the door, and a plexiglass will separate you from Santa. Hunt says masks will be required the entire time. You can find more information on our website. And I did want to mention this is a free photo session with Santa. So the Magnolia House really has been a staple in the community for many decades. And a rich history here in Greenville, housing celebrities like Miles Davis, Ray Charles, things like that. So they've hosted big celebrities, and now they're hosting another one with Santa.
Santa Claus, and kids can tell them what they want for Christmas right before he comes back to visit Greensboro. A very cool event they're having here in Tasha. I love that they are taking all the safety precautions necessary into consideration as well.
Yeah, you have to do that. And I will reiterate what Tahisha said about the Magnolia. If you haven't been in there, they've got pictures of people who have stayed there in the past. And if you are a music lover, especially kind of that jazz era, it's incredible the number of people that have stayed there. She mentioned Ray Charles, but I mean, you're talking about some of the jazz greats and early, like 1940s and 50s, before soul music was given a name. These actors too, by the way, and performers. It's an incredible list of who's who from that time period.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and I did want to add, of course, around Black History Month, they have a couple new exhibits coming. So as we enter 2021, look for those too if you happen to head that way.
We will keep our eye out for that. Thank you so much. All right, the 4 to 5 is heading to break. We are coming right back. You know, we are live all the time on social media. You can find our stream on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter.
So, you know, about this time every year, UNCG, our friends over there, will send out a holiday card, which is really just a music video they've put together. Usually students put it together, maybe some with the help of some of the faculty and staff, but it's normally just typical holiday or Christmas songs. This year, of course, it's 2020, so they had to do something different. I spoke with the interim director of the Miles Davis Jazz Program, Steve Haynes, to get the scoop on this cool video.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Hey, this is really cool, and there are some surprises in this video we'll talk about in a minute, but how did this all come about, the original idea?
Well, every year at the university we do, a holiday card, and so this year was no different, except I think the stakes were a little bit higher because of the coronavirus.
So this year, it's interesting to me when I was watching this. I mean, for goodness sake, I saw Chancellor Gilliam up there playing his guitar. Tell me a little bit about everybody that participated in this.
Right, so students wrote the song. Julian Kennedy wrote the song.
We must unite and rise.
And then he and Kamari Wells and myself wrote the lyrics. And basically, it was mostly students that put the whole thing together. Although our administrators are pretty good musicians. Frank Gilliam can play the guitar like nobody's business, and we have a new provost named Jim Coleman who's fantastic, and he also plays a little guitar and plays piano, so he's featured on the video as well.
And I love the fact that it's a combination of students and faculty. It just shows kind of that unity, and I'm assuming that was kind of part of the message, right?
Right, we just want to have all hands on deck. I think the truth of the matter is that this virus has affected all of us. Everybody is affected. It doesn't matter what political party or what basketball affiliation, and so we just wanted to show something really inclusive.
It's really a cool idea, and I think you had mentioned too that the student author of this who helped to write this had gone through a lot of challenges in his life, and it's kind of neat to see that he produced such a beautiful piece.
Yeah, he sure has. He's been through a lot, and he's really one of the most remarkable people I've ever met. A fantastic musician. His name is Julian Kennedy, and he's a jazz major at the university. He wrote the song and he sang on it, and it's very special for him to have been involved, for sure.
Yeah, it's really cool if you paid close attention to that, and you know that the Chancellor, Frank Gilliam, he's in there playing a guitar. I talked to him when I heard that he played guitar, and I heard about this years ago that he played, and I didn't know he was in this video, and I saw it, I called him. He said, no, students did all this. He goes, I just get one little solo in there.
I love this. I love to see the collaboration between the students and the staff. And I just love having more holiday music. I feel like we get a lot of recycled songs. I like the idea of having something new, and this would be perfect to kind of play in the background as you're eating dinner as a family.
Yeah, it was perfect to play throughout Eric's interview as well. What I think is so impressive about this, as someone who has zero musical talent other than being able to play Jingle Bells on the keyboard, how they're able to make all of that sound so good when it is separately recorded at different times, because as I understand it, Eric, they weren't hearing each other play.
Yeah, that's right, and they do that after the fact, so somebody will lay down kind of the bass track to it, and then everybody else will lay that on top of it. They have to listen to that, record their part, and send that in. It's very complicated.
Oh, good for them. Very cool story there. All right, meteorologist Christian Morgan, all eyes on you now.
Yeah, that's right. Pretty nice winter day if you step outside right now, but there are changes ahead and not too far away as we head into your Tuesday evening. Do take a look at our weather camera networks across the Triad right now. We have that beautiful Carolina blue sky and that sunshine, but it's a cold day of weather, very winter-like. Temperatures all in the low 40s across the area right now. Things are quiet on the radar at the moment, but that is going to be changing as we head into your Tuesday evening and especially into the overnight hours. Let's take a look at what we're looking at here. One system getting its act together just in the Gulf Coast right now, and another system just off the coast of the Carolinas. Both of these systems will work together to bring us likely a freezing rain area, a period of freezing rain for your Wednesday morning. So as these two lows work their way up to the Carolinas, the one off the coast of North Carolina provides the moisture. The second low back near Tennessee will actually provide a layer of warmth just over our heads in the upper levels of the atmosphere. And when you mix in that secondary low, that throws a wrench in all of the plans for any kind of snow chance. So let's take you through in time as we go through the overnight hours. Clouds will continue to thicken up and rain starts to move in, a chilly rain after midnight. But notice these pinks and notice the temperatures. They're right on the cusp of freezing, and that's going to be the concern. From about 4 a.m. until about noon, temperatures will be right around that freezing mark. So this is likely to be a period of freezing rain from about 4 a.m. until about noon. Then once we get past the lunchtime hour, we warm up just ever so slightly above freezing, and it turns to a chilly, nasty rain for the rest of the afternoon. So I do think it's possible that some areas across the Triad could pick up an icy glaze. Mainly south of Asheboro, it's going to stay a cold rain. You move up towards Greensboro along that I-40, I-85 corridor, we're likely to get a glazing of ice, and further to the north and west is where I think we'll see those slightly higher accumulations of ice. So bottom line, timing is 4 a.m. until noon. That's what we're going to be watching closely for an icy glaze, mainly on trees, elevated surfaces, cars, railings, that kind of thing. And it could make for some slippery bridges and overpasses. But other than that, I really don't see many issues as far as travel goes. So again, if you can work from home tomorrow morning, it's another morning where that's probably a good idea. And don't be on the roads unless you have to. Upper 20s to right around 30 degrees for those overnight lows. Here's your planner for tomorrow. It's a soggy, wet day of weather with freezing rain in the morning and more rain in the afternoon. But we do start clearing out as we head towards your Wednesday night and into your Thursday morning. We're drying out on Thursday, but it's just a cold winter day after that. Temperatures in the 40s to end the week. That's your forecast, your 4 to 5. We'll be right back.
Alrighty. Mic check 1, 2, 3, 4. Mic check 4 to 5. Mic check. Mic check 1, 2. Mic.
Even though COVID-19 vaccines are finally making their way around, we are still a while from being clear of being normal and of COVID being in the past. And with, of course, Christmas fast approaching, many of us will likely have to go through at least one holiday party over Zoom. And that's why WFMY's Brian Bennett is showing you a few ways to enhance your virtual holiday experience.
With coronavirus still in play and Christmas just right around the corner, chances are you will be attending one of these. A Christmas holiday Zoom party. And since I've decided to be nice instead of naughty this year, I'm gonna help you with your virtual holiday extravaganza. Number 1, Test your technology ahead of time. You want to make sure that you have great Wi-Fi and a good connection because you don't want to spend your whole party troubleshooting. Number 2, plan your party length. If you have the free version of Zoom, it may time out after 40 minutes, and it may be kind of hard to get everybody to Zoom back in. Number 3, make it festive. That means from your background with your Christmas tree to even what you have on, like one of those ugly Christmas sweaters that we all have. Number 4, organize a game or activity. This is going to be important so people aren't just talking over each other and they have something to do. Something like Christmas bingo where they have to pay attention. Number 5, create a party favor list. That way your guests can pick up their items and you can incorporate them into cool games. Number 6, send pre-wrapped gifts. Instead of regular packages, something about the tear of wrapping paper just makes it feel like it's Christmas. Number 7, background holiday music. Now, this helps set the tone for your virtual Christmas party. Gotta get it right. And finally, number 8, a grateful segment. Have everybody tell what they're grateful for, especially in the midst of 2020. It's been kind of rough. Just make sure they prepare their answers ahead of time so you can keep everything moving along.
Yeah, and speaking of moving along, that last tip was actually for my grandfather because he will keep talking forever. We love you though. I want to know you guys. What did I miss? What would you add?
Calling out Grandpa on the 4 to 5 today. I hope he's not watching. Sounding good on the naughty list. You know, I haven't thought about our Zoom Christmas party, but it is tomorrow. But I am excited to see what everyone pulls out. Tahisha, I think we might be getting a little sneak peek of your wardrobe.
Oh, yes. You guys know I wear this Christmas sweater every single day if you log on to our Zoom editorial meetings. I didn't have enough time to change my background, otherwise I would have, but I feel my Christmas tree is festive enough if I were to have a Christmas party, holiday party right now.
I think you know, it's a great idea to do the Zoom thing, and people are getting so used to this and so creative that it's like you might as well be in person. You know, it's like everybody's kind of grown accustomed to it. They get used to that weird delay where you have to stop and let somebody finish it like we have to deal with every day.
You're on
but
mute.
I want to say this real quick before I
Turn
take
your
off. That
mic
today
on.
I did a Zoom session with. I'm sorry?
No, I'm just messing with you. See, this is the weird delay we're talking about.
Oh.
You did a Zoom session.
Wait a minute. I've got to say this, though.
Okay.
I talked with the kids at Northern Elementary today on a Zoom session to kind of chat about weather and that type of thing. We had a great time, so I had to give them a little Nighthawk love. That's it. Now I'll be quiet.
No, by all means. Take us to break, Eric.
We'll see you in 2 minutes.
Hello. Let me plug my IFB into my phone so I can hear you. Let me hear you, friendly friends. Yay! Fantastic. Thank you.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to your 4 to 5. I'm Eric Chilton alongside Maddie Gardner, Tahisha Moyes, and Christian Morgan.
As always, the 4 to 5 is here to inform you, help you feel connected, and let you into our world.
Yes, and we live stream this show on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, but join the conversation on Facebook. A big conversation, though, Christian, is what's happening overnight into tomorrow with the weather.
Yeah, that's right. This is going to be our first winter event of the season that we are bracing for. You can already feel that it feels like winter across the Piedmont. Temperatures are in the 40s this afternoon, making for a very winter-like day. Low 40s all across the Piedmont, but things are dry on the radar, at least for this moment in time. That's going to be changing, though, as we head into the overnight hours. Watching two areas of low pressure, one just off the Gulf Coast right now, and then another one just off the coast of North Carolina. They're actually in the process of forming. They'll be doing that as we head through the overnight hours and working their way towards us. So one area of low pressure provides the moisture for us. The secondary area of low pressure actually kicks in a layer of warmth, and that's what really messes everything up and makes for a messy morning for Wednesday. So let's time this out for you. Clouds increase as we go throughout the overnight hours, but notice these temperatures right on the cusp of freezing, and that's going to create the freezing rain issue. So it's very likely most of the Triad could see a period of freezing rain from about 4 a.m. until about noon, and then we warm up just ever so slightly above freezing, and it transitions to just a chilly, cold, nasty rain for a few hours in the afternoon. Heading into the evening hours, though, we do start to dry out, though, heading into your Thursday. So here's the planner for Wednesday. Freezing rain, a period of it in the morning. Likely not too many travel issues, but it may make for some slick bridges and overpasses. So watch out for that. By the afternoon, it transitions to a cold, chilly rain, slowly drying out as we head into Thursday. Coming up, we'll talk about amounts and what I think we could see as far as impacts in the Triad. Plus, I'll show you that 7-day forecast.
On Monday, President-elect Joe Biden took another major step to becoming the next president of the United States after the Electoral College cast the official results in each state to make Joe Biden the winner. But now it's up to Congress to certify those results and approve them. So what happens if Congress rejects the results, and can that even happen in the first place? Well, you asked, so our Verify team went to work.
So right now we're going to tackle two related viewer questions. First, what's the official process for electors casting their votes? And second, what happens if Congress doesn't approve the Electoral College results? Our sources are reports from the Congressional Research Service and Asim Mulji, legal counsel at Campaign Legal Center. Let's start with the process. Each governor sends a certificate showing which slate of electors won the popular vote to the Archivist of the United States. The governor then delivers 6 identical certificates to the state's electors. Then on Monday, December 14th of this year, electors will meet and formally vote for the president and vice president. After these electors vote, they then sign each certificate. Each state is going to send its 6 copies to various places. 1 to the President of the Senate, that's Mike Pence. 2 will go to the Secretary of State for that state. 2 more will go to the Archivist of the United States. And finally, 1 will go to the federal judge in the district where the electors met. Congress will then read the results out loud and count them in a joint session on January 6th of next year at 1 p.m. In the end, Mike Pence, the president of the Senate, will announce whether any candidates receive the majority vote. And that brings us to question number 2. What happens if Congress doesn't approve of the Electoral College results? Well, the U.S. Code does allow Congress to object to electoral votes. Here's how it works. An objection needs to be in writing and signed by at least 1 senator and 1 representative. In terms of what counts as a valid objection, Mulji says the laws are pretty vague.
There isn't a ton of guidance about what does and doesn't count as an objection. Because these are internal rules of Congress, it's up to the houses of Congress to decide whether the objections are valid.
So if there's an objection, the 2 houses will then hold separate votes on whether to accept or reject it. If there's a split decision, meaning the House voted one way and the Senate voted the other, the tie goes to accepting the ballot as cast. That would mean the objection fails. From there, the typical count will continue. If you get a majority of votes, 270, you win. And if nobody gets a majority, the vote goes to the House of Representatives, with each state getting 1 vote. But remember, that process hasn't happened since the election of 1824.
This is a fun intellectual exercise, but of course we know that the Electoral College, we know the results of the Electoral College. We know that Joe Biden has won a majority of those electoral votes. So something extremely extraordinary would have to happen for those results to be changed at this point.
Let's turn now to your 4 to 5 roundup. The headlines at 4:30. Attorney General William Barr told President Donald Trump that he is leaving his administration. The president tweeted out Barr's resignation letter that says his last day is December 23rd. Trump says Deputy Attorney General Jeff Rosen will become the acting AG. Well, fewer people are expected to travel this holiday season as the coronavirus pandemic rages on. According to a new survey by the American Hotel and Lodging Association, 70% of adults do not plan to travel for Christmas. Of the 30% who do plan to go somewhere, nearly 3/4 say they will be staying with family or with friends. And federal regulators ordered Facebook, Twitter, Amazon, and TikTok, along with other social media companies, to provide detailed information about how they collect and use our data. They also want to know how their practices affect kids and teenagers. The FTC plans to use the data they turn over for a comprehensive study. They hope to better understand how companies decide what ads to show users.
Well, the High Point Furniture Market, originally scheduled for spring, now will be postponed until summer. They're saying that they hope the pandemic will be a little bit better under control by that point. Now, the Market Authority, which kind of governs the market, says that they made the decision based on promising but realistic updates about the COVID vaccine distribution, saying the springtime frame could be a little bit slow, pushing the date back also by some time for exhibitors to replenish supplies that were either in low supply or delayed due to the pandemic.
I think in terms of economic impact, it's probably helpful to move to June. Our hope, of course, is that more people are comfortable traveling to High Point in June, thereby increasing the buyers that our exhibitors can see while they're here in High Point, as well as just visitor attendance in general for the community.
So the new date for the market will be June the 5th through June the 9th.
All the wrappings, all the bows. I love wrapping presents. And Maddie, my tradition is to wrap presents while I watch Christmas Vacation. What about you?
Oh, that's a good one to watch. I definitely have either a Christmas movie or Christmas music on to really get me in the mood to wrap all of the gifts.
Yeah, you do need to be kind of in the mood to wrap the presents. Okay, the wrappings and the bows, that's one thing. Now let's talk about the next thing, which is, what's inside that package, right?
The present matters.
The present does matter. And do you think that you're a good gift giver?
I would like to think I am a good gift giver, but you might have to ask some of my friends and family.
All right, I want you and everyone else to think about this as you're giving those gifts, okay? These are about gifts that people don't like. 3 in 5 adults admit to lying when receiving an undesirable gift. I gotta tell you, the white lies, they don't stop there. More than half said they've displayed a disliked present when the gift giver makes a visit. And more than 1/3 said they still wait about, 4 years or so before regifting it or getting rid of it. All right, here's a gift that you are going to not want to return. Free help figuring out healthcare, and that's coming up tonight at 5:30. We have 2 healthcare experts joining us to answer your questions. Text those questions, 336-379-5775. We're talking about ACA healthcare enrollment and Medicare. Today is the deadline to sign up for the Affordable Care Act healthcare. If you miss this deadline, you could be without insurance for all of 2021.
Cindy thinks this is another gimmick, she says. Yes, I'm here.
Welcome back to your 4 to 5. The first home test for COVID-19 that does not require a prescription will soon be on U.S. store shelves. The FDA authorized the rapid coronavirus test that can be done entirely at your house. The agency's action allows the test to be sold in places like drugstores. Regulators granted emergency use for a similar test last month, but that one requires a doctor's prescription. Initial supplies of the over-the-counter test will be limited and it will cost around $30. So would you want to take an at-home COVID-19 test? WFMY News 2's digital guru Brian Bennett is joining us once again. You've been keeping an eye on the comments on this story, Brian. So what's the general consensus?
As far as the question goes, I don't think nobody really answered that question, so I'm thinking nobody has a problem with that. They were just more so about the test in itself, right? So Cindy says she thinks it's just another gimmick to get money from people just to raise the numbers higher, while John echoes those same sentiments while saying, and here comes another spike of positives. Rhonda says, a digital app, huh? Interesting. And Rhonda's referring to the fact that the test connects to a digital app to help users interpret results. So a lot of people may feel iffy about that. The next commenter says, but how much is it going to cost? Maddie just told you around $30, so I don't think it's too hard. I think it's reasonable. And lastly, Lisa says, can we have an at-home flu test? An at-home any virus test? So I thought that was an interesting comment on her behalf.
Yeah, I would like to see that too, to be honest with you. I think just as we get into flu season and I don't even know what next year is going to bring with coronavirus, I think having an at-home test for me would be reassuring.
I would absolutely love to have an at-home test. I don't know why people wouldn't want to know if they have this virus or, as you mentioned, Brian, the flu or any other contagious virus or pathogen that could potentially get someone else sick and be worse for them than it is for you. So I know that we don't want the numbers to go higher, and we know that when we test more, those numbers go higher because we're finding out about more cases through the test. But I think we need to know where these cases are so we can slow the spread of the virus.
Right, right. I mean, otherwise you kind of get into this circle where you kind of lose the end, right? It's like, okay, well, we got to test, but then we don't want the numbers to go up. But if we don't test, then the numbers are still going to go up. I mean, I think it's just one of those things. You have the piece of information, use it in a good way.
Yes, then you know you need to quarantine or stay home or not be around other people until you can get rid of it for good. All right, let's check in with the weather forecast.
All right, weather, the big talk of today. Feeling like winter today, but it looks all calm, like everything is fine with the weather. It is today, but there are big changes ahead as we go into your Tuesday night and especially into Wednesday morning. Take a look at our weather camera networks across the Triad right now. That beautiful Carolina blue sky and lots of sunshine, but it is feeling like winter. A cold day across the Piedmont, low 40s, 41 Greensboro, 42 Winston-Salem, 42 in Asheboro, and 43 in Lexington. Things are dry on the radar at the moment, but zooming out on a wider view, let me show you our setup that's starting to form right now. One area of low pressure just off the Gulf Coast, a second area of low pressure just off the coast of North Carolina. Both of these will be working in tandem to bring us a period of freezing rain tomorrow morning. So what happens is as they form and get closer, this low off the coast of North Carolina provides the moisture. The secondary low closer back to Tennessee, inland, that provides a layer of warm air in the upper atmosphere to help anything that's frozen above melt as it falls to the surface. And then our surface is going to be cold, right around freezing, and that rain, that precipitation will freeze on contact with surfaces. So let's take you through in time on Futurecast and show you, especially after midnight, the clouds start to thicken up and rain will start to arrive. But it does change into a period of freezing rain. Notice these temperatures right at freezing, 32 Greensboro, 32 Winston-Salem, and it will likely stay at freezing for a period of a few hours. So we see these pinks, that's freezing rain all the way up until about the lunchtime hour, and we warm up just ever so slightly above freezing to change it over to a cold rain for the afternoon. So as far as icy accumulations go, mainly south of Asheboro, it's just going to be a cold rain. You start to move a little closer to Greensboro along that I-40, I-85 corridor. A glaze of ice is likely, but further to the north and west, there could be some slightly higher icy accumulations, mainly on trees, elevated surfaces, railings, cars, that sort of thing. Not expecting any major travel issues, although bridges, overpasses could be a little bit slick. And this could also cause a few spotty down trees and maybe even a few power outages. Bottom line, it's not a big icy event, but it is our first one of the winter. Temperatures dropping down into the upper 20s to right around 30 for us tonight. Pretty much the same story back to the west and along the foothill and mountain communities. So watch out tomorrow morning. Just be careful, be safe, exercise caution, stay home if you can. The second half of the day is nasty and rainy after that. But we do start drying out as we head towards the end of the week, but it will be feeling like winter. Mainly dry on Thursday and Friday with afternoon highs in the 40s. That's your forecast. Your 4 to 5. We'll be right back.
Well, a local musician who has entertained the Triad for years is giving back. You have to check this out. You've probably heard the group The Magnificents out of Burlington, and if you've seen them around the area, and they've been around a long time, you probably know their lead singer, Clint Horton. He has been reaching out with live streaming concerts from his home during the pandemic. He and his wife started this, did about 49 of these. One of them got over 19,000 hits with this. It's almost a viral thing, but now he's using that method to give back. I spoke with him today about what they're doing. So Clint, you know, this is really cool. A lot of artists are doing this these days, but you guys just really hit on something. Where did this idea come from for you to do these live streaming concerts out of your house?
One morning, a couple of weeks ago, I was laying in bed and it came to me that maybe now would be a good time to do something. And what I came up with, we dubbed the 12 Days of Christmas Caroling. And in thinking more about that, we decided we would do Christmas carols or Christmas songs. That's not necessarily carols, but Christmas songs. But in order to make it more meaningful, we also decided that we would identify 12 local nonprofits and sponsor those nonprofits. And I thought about that for a while, and I thought, now what would be a good way to do that? And I thought, well, one of the 49 days that we did, we got one of those got a little over 19,000 hits. And I thought, now if one person, if each of those people were to have donated $1, that would have been $19,000 that we could use to divide among the 12 nonprofits.
Talk a little bit about how this has made you guys feel, because you're doing such a great thing for so many different nonprofits.
I knew how it was going to make me feel. Just doing the music makes me feel good. It gives us something to do, and it gives our listeners something to look forward to, and they do in fact look forward to it. And we've had listeners as far away. There was one lady who contacted me from Germany, and she was 5 hours. We were doing that at 7 o'clock. We're doing these at 6 p.m. now. But when we did the 49 days, we did those at 7. She said, it's 1 o'clock in the morning here, but I'm up in the morning listening to you guys. And she shared with me how inspiring it was for her. Well, that inspired me.
Yeah, it's very cool what they're doing, and we're going to link you to his Facebook page so you can watch those inspirational concerts, and that'll be on WFNYnews2.com a little later tonight. So I asked you on Facebook, we were talking about music. What song title do you think sums up 2020? I knew what I was getting myself into when I posted this today. Pretty funny responses here. Let's start out with Teresa. She says, Living on a Prayer, and anything by Aerosmith. Sherry says, oh, AC/DC, Highway to Hell. Well, some people might agree with that. Joan Phillips, my favorite one, Don't Stand So Close to Me by The Police. Several people said that one, by the way. And Elizabeth said, we go back to Roy Orbison days, Only the Lonely. That does sum it up in short fashion, I think.
I was actually going to say Living on a Prayer because I think that's appropriate, but since that one was taken, I'll say Work From Home by Fifth Harmony.
Work. No, that's a good one. That's a good, or Work by Rihanna. No, that's not
different.
Suitable for work. But here's what I will say, though. I'm going to turn it on a positive note, and I'm going to say I'm Still Standing by Elton John.
That's
I'm still here.
Nice.
We are all still here. Very good. All right, we are heading to break, but stick around because 2 Cents is coming up after this.
Hey, mic check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Mic check. Okay, I think I'm gonna.
Like, we're gonna meet at the Getting a shot is not usually exciting, but for the doctors and nurses that were vaccinated here today, it was history.
Hey there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, I can, yes.
Hi, I can hear you. Alabama, Alaska, Arizona, Arkansas, California, Colorado.
I can hear you, Cammie. Can you hear me? Superb.
I can hear Cammie, I can hear Chad, I can hear Julie and Tim.
It's time for my 2 cents. Since Christmas is just 10 days away, y'all know I've been listening to carols and holiday songs non-stop. One of my favorites is "Oh Holy Night," and my favorite lyric is "The thrill of hope, the weary world rejoices." But this week I was really thinking about that line, the thrill of hope, and how it seems more relevant now than ever before. In the last few days, I've had more hope than I have in a while. I'll be honest, the last few months have been difficult. I feel like I've been squinting to see the light at the end of the tunnel of this pandemic. And for me, seeing images and video of COVID-19 vaccines being shipped out and people being vaccinated, that's giving me and many other people hope. Christmas, of course, is also bringing some hope. Even though it's going to look different this year, the thought of spending time with some of the people I love the most gives me hope to get through the bad days. It's pretty amazing that just having something to look forward to can do so much. That hope can bring new perspective and make things that are seemingly bleak thrilling. That's my 2 cents. That's your 4 to 5. WFMY News 2 at 5 starts now.
It was a historic and emotional day for many as we finally have a new tool to protect people from this virus.
COVID-19 vaccinations are underway in North Carolina. What role the Moderna vaccine could play in getting even more